Right now, inside your body, a single red blood cell is completing a full lap of your circulatory system in roughly 45 seconds. That cell will travel through the equivalent of 60,000 miles of tubing before you finish watching this video. But here is the shocking truth most GCSE students never grasp until they lose marks. Your heart is not one pump. It is two completely separate pumps bolted together, beating in perfect synchrony. Understanding this dual pump concept is the master key that unlocks every pathway question on your exam. Let's start our journey in a place that feels completely counterintuitive. We begin on the right side of the heart, with blood that is exhausted, dark, and starved of oxygen. This deoxygenated blood has just returned from delivering fuel to your brain, your muscles, and your fingertips. It slumps into the right atrium through two massive veins, the superior and inferior vena cava. The right atrium is not a powerful muscle. It acts as a passive collecting chamber, a waiting room for blood before the real journey begins. Here comes your first dopamine spike. Memorize this phrase: the atrium is a receiving room. With a gentle contraction, the right atrium nudges the blood through a one-way door called the tricuspid valve. This valve is anchored by tough strings called chordae tendineae, the heartstrings of poetic legend. These strings prevent the valve from blowing inside out like an umbrella in a hurricane. Now the blood is in the right ventricle, the first real pump. But this pump has a very specific destination in mind. The ventricle contracts with a mighty squeeze, slamming the tricuspid valve shut. That lube sound you hear in a heartbeat? That is the sound of your atrioventricular valves slamming shut to prevent backflow. The only exit now is through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary artery. Here is the biggest trap in GCSE biology. Arteries do not carry oxygenated blood. Arteries carry blood away from the heart, regardless of oxygen content. The pulmonary artery is the only artery in your body carrying deoxygenated blood. This dark blood surges into the capillaries of the lungs, wrapping around tiny air sacs called alveoli. This is where the magic happens: gas exchange. Carbon dioxide abandons the blood cell, leaping across the membrane into the lung to be exhaled. Oxygen floods in, grabbing onto the hemoglobin inside the red blood cell like a magnet. In less than a second, the blood transforms from a dull purplish blue to a brilliant cherry red. This oxygenated blood is now ready for the long haul. It flows into the pulmonary veins, which brings us to the second great GCSE trap. Veins carry blood toward the heart, and right now this red blood is heading toward the left atrium. The pulmonary vein is the only vein carrying oxygenated blood, breaking the color-coded rule. The crimson tide rushes into the left atrium, a receiving room identical in function but opposite in content to the right. A gentle squeeze pushes it through the mitral valve, a two-flapped door into the heart's main engine. Welcome to the left ventricle, the strongest chamber in the body. Its walls are 3 times thicker than the right ventricle because it must generate enough pressure to reach your toes. When this beast contracts, it creates a pressure wave that you can feel in your wrist. The mitral valve slams shut, creating the dub sound of your heartbeat. Blood blasts through the aortic valve into the aorta, the largest artery in the body. The aorta is a high-pressure fire hose, curving over the heart and diving down toward the abdomen. From this central highway, branches split off to deliver oxygen to every single cell in your body. The carotid arteries peel off to feed your brain. The renal arteries snake toward the kidneys for filtration. The hepatic artery delivers fresh blood to the liver, your body's chemical processing plant. As the arteries branch, they become arterioles and finally the microscopic capillaries. This is the capillary bed, a swamp of exchange where the real work happens. The capillary walls are 1 cell thick, a gossamer barrier designed for maximum leakage. Oxygen detaches from hemoglobin and diffuses into the starving surrounding cells. Simultaneously, carbon dioxide and waste products diffuse from the cells back into the bloodstream. The blood, now stripped of its oxygen and loaded with waste, begins its return journey. It enters the venules, the tiny tributaries that merge to form veins. Veins are different from arteries. They have thin walls, a wide lumen, and critically, they contain valves. Blood pressure here is dangerously low, a mere trickle compared to the aortic fire hose. So how does the blood get back up from your feet against gravity? The skeletal muscle pump is the answer. Every time you walk, run, or even fidget, your muscles squeeze the veins, milking the blood upward. The valves snap shut behind the moving blood, preventing it from falling back down. The veni cava, the great veins, collect this returning tide and dump it back into the right atrium. The circuit is complete. But wait, here is the final dopamine spike for your exam. There are 3 distinct circulations, not just one. Pulmonary circulation is the lung loop, systemic is the body loop, and coronary circulation feeds the heart muscle itself. The coronary arteries branch directly off the base of the aorta, feeding the hardest working muscle in your body. A blockage here is a heart attack, a concept that appears in exam questions linking structure to function. Let's recap the pathway at high speed. Vena cava to right atrium through the tricuspid valve to the right ventricle. Through the pulmonary valve to the pulmonary artery into the lungs. Back via the pulmonary veins to the left atrium, through the mitral valve to the left ventricle. Blasted out through the aortic valve into the aorta, distributed through systemic arteries. Exchange in the capillaries, then the long venous journey home. The payoff for mastering this pathway is immense. You can now answer any question about double circulation, valve function, or gas exchange with absolute confidence. Remember, the right side pumps to the lungs, the left side pumps to the body. Arteries go away, veins go toward the heart. And the pulmonary vessels are the rebellious exceptions that prove the rule. Save this pathway map before your exam. Watch it one more time tonight, trace the path with your finger on your own chest, and lock it into your long-term memory. This isn't just biology. It is the river of life flowing inside you, right now with every beat. Save this before your exam.